Hello, I'm Chipper Prodigy. I came out the year 2000, and I represent the Blue era.
Hello, my name is Zeric Mugler Ryu. I'm from Miami, Florida. I came out in 2002, and I'm also representing the Blue era.
Ryu Aphrodite Mizrahi, Blue Arrow, came out in 2002.
Well, I discovered Ballroom in 98, 99. 99, I used to go downtown to Philadelphia to 13th Street. I would see a lot of queens just outside, and everybody be outside, and then after a certain time, about like 1, 2 o'clock, the street would just disappear, and everyone would go somewhere, but I never knew where they went. And then I met Jacen, and we started going out everywhere, and I discovered this place called the Breakfast Club.
Well, I would say Ballroom discovered me. I was in college running track, and I met this guy at a track meet and started going to his house. And like they would be watching VHS tapes, and all I would hear them in the house say, do, 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 do. And I was like, what is happening? And somebody was like, Zeric should be in the house. And I was like, I thought I was already in y'all house. But then Tony Milan ended up coming to Miami, and my boyfriend was adamant about me not joining. So Tony was like, Zeric, come with me to the store. And we went to a ball, and he snatched me. And at that moment, that's when I was born.
From Ballroom is like 2 parts for me. So I knew about balls in 97, 98, when I used to go to the piers, and everyone would be bowling down on the piers on Christopher Street. I wasn't necessarily secure in my sexuality. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to identify. So I went to the military, and then when I came back and I started working for GMHC, I was mandated to work the outside latex ball. And that's when I saw all the creativity, and that's when I fell in love with it. But I didn't really participate until going to the Legends ball in 2002.
So when I was first introduced to becoming a part of the ballroom scene, at first I didn't even want to walk face because at the time my teeth were crooked. So I kept asking if I could walk sex siren, and they were just like, listen, everybody teeth fucked up, fake it. So, you know, like when I started walking, I would just be like, and it worked out for a while, and I like figured it out.
When did it stop working?
Baby, will you beat me in blue hair?
I think.
This is the part where they find. This is the part where they find the clip and pan to it.
Like, why does that mean? Why does that came back? All of it without a fiddling of whatever. Right.
I didn't just walk Bushwing face originally. I walked Bizarre as well when I started walking walls. I'm more of a creative, which led into other categories in the future. I didn't choose face. Face chose me. I was going through a really nasty breakup because I was in a domestic violence relationship for over 2.5 years. Depressed, anxious, latex took me to the Legends Ball, and I was sitting down, minding my own business, and then Jack says, isn't he beautiful? Isn't he lovely? And he pulls me out from the table, and I walked new face against this queen right here. Really? And I lost, but the experience itself was amazing because I didn't plan to walk. I had no intentions of walking balls. I just wanted to participate, like, watch the balls.
For me, I would say when I first discovered face made me want to start working face was, I used to go downtown a lot, and we used to have this thing called the party line. I was from Delaware. I had 2 of my friends that were with me, and when I would leave Philadelphia, people would always talk about me on this party line thing. And so one day, I was just out with Jacen, and he was just like, all right, we're going to the ball, let's go. We went, and I just got out there and did it. I just figured it was something I wanted to do.
When I started Ballroom, I think at that time, it was me and Josh that kind of came out at the same time. I'm sure there were others, but, you know, history would say otherwise.
So People that came up with me, I would say Jacen. There was Josh. There was Zeric. Well, you guys were a little.
Well, that's just because like, but he ain't like you was before, like y'all was already here when we played.
But David, Givenchy, TJ. What was he? Givenchy or
Oh, it was Lopez.
Lopez, Ryu, Mook. And what was the other one? I don't.
Christian, Chris,
Chris Givenchy.
Chris Givenchy.
I would say there's two moments for me. After Bright Infinity, I was the first Butch Queen to win open soul face for $1,000 in Chicago over the icon Rose Chanel, which it was hard to win over female figures as a Butch Queen. And then the second part was when I walked on the $5,000 Club Kid face at the 2005 New York Awards. It was a very difficult process because when I come up with an idea I usually dream it, and then I try to make it come to life. It's usually you can do more in the dream than you can actually do in real person. The production and everything like that did not go as expected. It wasn't what I envisioned. I was nervous as all hell. I don't think I've ever been as nervous as I was that night. I just remember being in a corner trying to hide, and everyone's running to the corner looking at me, and I'm like, why are you looking at me? I must look crazy. And I was going through it. And then hearing the judges being called to the panel, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get chopped. The nerves were just through, but I don't know, I got possessed once the music started and I guess made the moment. I wasn't really thinking about it. But inspiration-wise, everyone says it was an angel, but I wasn't really an angel. Being an Aphrodite and my production, I was like a Greek sculpture coming to life, and I was cracking through, and that's when the color when I came to the face. It was Dante Aphrodite who said, you should put the angel wings on. And I was like, okay, so I just put it on. But I wasn't even going to walk the ball because nothing was going the way that I wanted it to go. So.
Do you feel like you should have won it?
Everyone says I should have won that night. Do I believe I should have won? I probably should have. I think everything happens for a reason. Had I gotten that money, I probably would have done something stupid with it. Secondly, it's... Once again, like I've never had a girlfriend panel, so I'd never go into a ball thinking or expecting to win. I just go out there expecting to try to make a moment, to be seen, to show my creativity. And when I do come out now, it's all about showing people that I'm still alive, because a lot of people from my era are not living. Showing people that I still look decent. And overall, like just knowing that I did my time, I should be respected for it.
I came from the deep South, Miami. Basically what happened was, God bless his soul, Tony had started to like migrate even further down south to Miami because he was best friends with Steve Milan, and they started a chapter. So that was kind of how I got introduced, and we formed Miami's chapter. And it was kind of an interesting dynamic because like, clearly I was dominating Miami. There was really, like I was, battling like, there was this one, I can't even remember his name, but like he was like a Latin, beautiful guy. So it kind of was us two that was going through it. But then when they finally brought me to Atlanta, I wasn't even supposed to be the premier face of Milan at that time. It was another guy named Delano. So like they were trying to push Delano as like the one. And we walked the Escada Ball. I want to say that was 2002, like when they had the like circus ball in Atlanta. We walked that one, and Delano pretty much processed everybody, but like we won it together. But then at that moment, it was kind of like, oh, like they want her, like, like he's getting the moment. So I had to like kind of like go back home and just sort of be like, if you're going to do this, then you need to like click in. And like I clicked in and basically like got connected to the Atlanta Milans, which were Black, and my mother Brandon, which she never was around for me, but being around the Atlanta Milans, like during that time, like it was like this new vibe that was happening because it was like Vito had just came in, Ziggy was there, like it was all of us that were like that new branch, and like I was like the face. At that time, Brandon wasn't really walking. Little Bit wasn't really walking. Christian had just passed away. So it was like, Zeric, like, this is your moment. And like, they groomed me. Like, I was having a very cunty moment back in the day. Like, it was the Y2K. Listen, Britney Spears had just came out. Christina had just popped out the bottle. Like, I was having a good time. And it was like, Zeric, you look masculine. Calm that down. So like, they tried to like make me into this like sexy, masculine phase. So like, anytime I would be like, down, come down. But then like, Josh like came like a storm on me, like, and I was like, well, what is this thing right here? Like, and he was like young, pretty, light skinned, and he was an ebony, and he was a Georgia peach. So like, they let me in, but I felt like Atlanta also was trying to let me know, like, if you're not homegrown, you have to work for this, because like Josh was on my ass. And like, I'll never forget, like, I had like left the house in Milan due to some unforeseen circumstances. And they had Josh come to Milan to replace me in a sense. And we ended up like 2005, like I came out as Mugler at the Chanel ball, and it was wash face. You had to like wipe your face. And I was just like, you know what? I took my towel and like threw it in his face, and he threw it back in mine. And like, people to this day still remember that. But honestly, like, the most pivotal moment for me and Butch Queen Face is not even on the floor, honestly. Dow Brown at the time created a magazine called Ballroom Rockstar. See, also, I think that's one of the things that we have a discussion about our era was the internet was booming. They had Walk For Me Wednesdays. So we're more a part of like, we are the pioneers of the media era. You're welcome. But so Dow created the Ballroom Rockstar magazine, and I think that like what he wanted to do was like bring Whitney and have Whitney interview, Whitney interview, but then also like for Whitney to pick his predecessors. So it was pretty much like me and Josh that, you know, like, because like Jacen said, there were 5 that were reigning, but there were 2 that were on top, and I'm one of them.
But keep continuing.
But so like the Ballroom Rockstar magazine came out, and like it was me, Whitney, and Josh on the cover, and like that magazine cover even like spilled out outside of Ballroom. Like the entire gay scene ended up like clicking into us and was just like, who are they? And then to even come to find out, like that magazine was actually even like used as a reference for America's Next Top Model. And so like, you know, like it was a very pivotal moment for me because I actually wanted to like get into modeling. So I started to segue into like New York. I moved here at that time, and then, you know, like I would go on castings and stuff like that. And then I finally got signed to an agency, but I was doing a lot of more like hip hop stuff. And there was this moment that I like, my agent called me in and pulled the Rockstar magazine out and was like, somebody called here today and like mentioned this. And I was just like, oh, they're trying to trace the Africa me now or something. But like, he was like, no, Zeric, like, this is great. You're beautiful. This is fashion. This is what's next. And he was like, listen, like, you've been at the gay clubs. Like, we're not trying to like turn you into anything other than be who you are. Like, nobody at the time was like necessarily an out model. And then I was like, you know how Little Kim said, I was like in the XXL having, that was me. I was openly gay, but then I was like selling hip hop fashion, which is a strange dichotomy, but like, I did it. So, how could you?
Well, my story isn't exciting as theirs, but also in that magazine.
Oh, you was in there?
No, he wrote about me in there, but
Oh, that person that wrote about you.
No, I didn't get the write-up.
Oh.
We was interviewing Whitney. It wasn't about us, child.
well, the same magazine. I won't discuss what was in the magazine, but no, he pretty much just dissed me in the magazine. Me coming into walking balls and being basic really wasn't about being basic. I already knew I was a cute person. I already knew I was handsome. I already knew I was fly. So for me, it was just like being around family, having friends. But I think for me, moments where like when I walked Club Kid Base at the Latex Ball, I pretty much processed everybody except for one person. He had pennies on his face. But, we'll discuss that. And then I think I walked more so Models Magazine face. I did good with Models Magazine. I was always good with the pictures and then having a natural face. I never wanted to wear makeup or any of those things. Anytime Jacen would try to put me in makeup, it would just itch my face, and I would just be like, all right, I'm not doing this today. Like, take it off. And he'd be over me, so I'd just be like, okay, well, whatever. But yeah, that was it for me. I mean, I went there here and there, did the background thing, and, I just had fun with it. I think for me, the thing about it was when people would try to pair us together. Me and Jacen are like brothers. So like people in our own house would be like, oh, Chipper's better than you. Oh, Jacen doesn't have face or Chipper doesn't have face. It got to the point where we were just like, you know what? Fuck everybody. Like, it's me and Jacen. So we were like Batman and Robin. I remember one time me getting into the house of Ebony. It was by two votes. Two people didn't want me to get into the house. And they're now my two best friends. I mean, they can't even move without me. I feel like we're always together. And it's still funny to this day because one of the things man said to me was like, oh, do you want to say anything to them? And I was like, no, I'm already in. Like, I've always felt like I had to prove myself, but I don't have to prove myself. Like, I am who I am. Like, everything about me is natural. I mean, I don't really do too much. I wash my face, get up in the morning and go. But yeah, like, when Jacen didn't want to walk, I would walk. When I didn't want to walk, Jacen would walk. Like he said, we kind of just like pushed each other to do these things. And I mean, to this day, we still have like a great bond and nothing can separate us. I feel like no matter where he is in his life and no matter where I'm in my life, we're just always going to be together and it just ride. It just works.
I love that. Picture it. 2006. The category is Butch Queen Face, Bring It Out the Box. Again, I say that we're part of the Y2K era where a lot of the stuff at that time was starting to hit the internet and stuff like that. And like I've always been very conscious about the image that I put out publicly and the way that like I present, because I always knew that I was starting to become a part of like this archival history. So like, you'll never really see me in costumes or stuff like that. It's just not my ministry. So that, like that night, like I can say like the Muglers had really like rallied around me at that moment, like Zeric, like you about to bust through. So I came out, I had on like all black Prada. I looked nice. I felt like I looked beautiful. And I had like these big poster pictures of like me, because at that point I was also like in my mind letting New York know like I'm here, like I'm in the industry now, like that was my vibe. And then it's so ironic that I'm a part of the Blue era, because like Blue really has been haunting me for the longest. Jacen Prodigy comes out and he has this electric blue hair. And I looked at him and was like, oh, I got this in the bag. Shit, look at that. You give me 1 Prodigy, 2 Prodigy, 3 Prodigy, 4 Prodigy, 5 Prodigy. Pack it up, Z. And Jacen was like, what? I was like, you better know. But at that moment, like, I was done. Like, I was done. I don't know why I was so offended by it. Like, but during that time too, like me and Jacen, we didn't necessarily like gel and we didn't really like get along. And like, I think in my mind, it was like he could never beat me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, there's no way you can beat me. But then he beat me. So it like, honestly, like made me kind of look and say like, okay, Zeric, well, first of all, like Ballroom is a game. It's a chessboard. Like Jacen has put his time in. Jacen like has really good relationships in this scene. Like I've always felt like sort of like an outsider, and I was just like, well, you know, like I don't want to play the game, and I had already started to like model at that time too. So it was just like, okay, like, and then that wasn't the only reason, but like I just wasn't having fun in it anymore either. And it was just like, okay, I'm gonna exit. Like y'all could see them on the ballroom floor, but then catch me on billboards, and that was my attitude about it.
But then to piggyback off of that too, I always felt like Jacen always wanted to be so different than what anybody else wanted it to be. Like Jacen would just like, one day he put make a ball on one side of his face, and I was like, what is going on? Even for me, it was shocking because even when he went to the ball, I was like, Jacen, you really gonna wear blue hair to the ball?
But no, rightfully so, though, also, like,
Anybody who's watching this, if you ever want to play this game, it's very pertinent that you pay attention to the text. Read the category twice, 3 times, ask a friend what this means, because that was what happened with me. Honestly, to tell you the truth, now that I look back at it, Jacen was supposed to beat me because Jacen followed the category. I didn't bring it out the box. I brought it exactly like Zeric always brought it. So there was nothing new about it, and it just was like, well, Zeric, this is not out the box. This is you. So, grand prize Jacen.
But, you know, there's also this dynamic that current day ballroom is different because where we were walking, if you were seen as a ballroom kid, a lot of people didn't want to talk to you. They don't want to date you. You were not havable. You were a stain. And now it's ironic that, you know, we've molded ourselves to kind of keep that part of ourselves like an enigma and hidden. And now you see today the kids are walking, having, and they're fab. And now there's these shows about people being seen. And, you know, I threw all my trophies away.
Yeah.
I was ashamed.
I don't have any trophies in my
Like,
life for you.
what the fuck I'm gonna do with these plastic trophies? They don't mean anything. I can't just randomly say, well, this is what I did, you know, with gay people. It wasn't something that I was proud of. But as a competitor, you know, I just love to compete. Like, that stuff didn't mean anything. But like today's era has it a little bit different. But as far as like creativity, I think there were people even before era like Javante Garvest. So he would come out more feminine with more elaborate outfits, and he didn't get his just desserts. He didn't get his flowers, you know. And I think that in this era, you know, you have people pushing the envelope a lot for current era. Well, I think that would really push it. I think me and you pushed the envelope a lot. You know, like I would come out with finger waves and then 2 or 3 balls, and you had something else. And I don't necessarily take credit for those types of things because it doesn't mean anything to me, but it was maintaining a look and trying to bring a look back from ballroom's past, but then also embracing where ballroom was going at the time. So it was a big transition from, you know, traditional to modern, and then also bringing it to, like, I see people today walking balls, and I was like, I would get tried for wearing that. And now I'm seeing people wearing these illustrious outfits and very feminine and gaudy. And I'm like, it's amazing, you know? I think in a way, like, I've never walked with, like, the people that I saw, but, you know, I had a lot of great mentors. Like, my gay mother was Ira. My gay father is David Altsamo. So I've had bloodline, like, just probably stronger than anyone in ballroom scene that saw me, that groomed me, that gave me advice just to be myself. But, you know, I also have other people that, like Marine, who are now Brittany, that I looked up to that would give me advice, who I love to this day that I speak. But if I had to team with someone like for category-wise, oof, that's very difficult because there's so many beautiful people that I would love to walk to. But I think with my mom, I would love to walk with my mom because she was a performer. She was breathtaking, you know, and I think she would actually help me create we would create a moment together because there's 2 different things. But then also I have my gay brother, Alfonso.
Who's your mom?
Ira, after that.
Oh.
But like Alfonso, who I've always looked up to as well, who doesn't get enough recognition for the category previous to my era. I mean, there's so many beautiful people. Maybe even Tony Milan. I love Tony Milan. Shady boots when he walked. And so.
Sure. For me, I think people that I looked up to Whitney, Nigel, Green, Cartier, were a few of my favorites. I just like the way they presented themselves on the floor and also off the floor. Always very fashionable, always very kind. Some shady, but still kind. And once you got to know them, I mean, you were like, it's like family. So those are the people that I look up to. I just felt like even when we were younger, like we didn't go outside. Everything wasn't put together. If you felt like your haircut wasn't right, we weren't going outside. If your nails wasn't done, we just didn't go outside. Like we stayed in until the moment was right, so that no one could say anything about us. It was like we were perfect all the time when we went out.
For me, I think the three people that I actually was inspired by and kind of like gel pieces of all three of them into like create myself were Tony Milan, Whitney, and Brian. Because for one, like they were the pinnacles of face and they were the top tier. And like, I'd like to think that I sit on that shelf with them too. And there were just so many differences about the three of them. Whitney, he has this like very like confident allure, sexiness, and like Whitney kind of taught me to bring your body into it, like sell sex and like honestly like the presentation. And Tony, if you ever graduated from the school of Milan, there's a certain level of shade that you will carry for the rest of your life. Can't explain it, but it just becomes ingrained in you. And a lot of that was because of Tony. And Brian, because he was just an enigma. I had seen all of the rest of them. I had met all of the rest of them, but I just kept hearing about this person, Brian. And then like, during that time, like there were not really a lot of clips or things. So like, I think I had seen Brian, and I like recently told him this, like I was outside a club one night and like, it was almost like you spot like like the leopard got into like the rainbow. It was like, that's Brian. And I was like, and he was smoking. Hit it. Yeah. But like, I always loved that about him because I was just like, he was able to like leave and like, he had this like enigma about him. And I just was like, I want people to have that about me in the future. And that's pretty much what it was. But like, if I could like, cause I could think the question was if I could walk with anybody, bar none, Brian.
For me, I would say the reason why I pretty much walked away from it, it just wasn't fun anymore. I think the excitement of it was gone. I felt like family wasn't family anymore. It was just changing. It was changing so much that I couldn't wrap my head around it. That like they said, the internet thing was getting too much. I really wasn't on the internet. My whole thing in Ballroom, I focused on work, and then I went to the ball. After that, nothing else matters. That's still the way I am to this day. Like I'll peek and go to a ball, but I'm always focusing on work. So for me, it just didn't make sense for my life anymore. Like I love it, I cherish it. It's something that I will always be a part of, but I'm not for going state to state anymore. I'm not for traveling the world for a ball. I can't do any of those things, but it's just not something that I want to do for myself.
Well, I would say the main reason why I kind of stopped was because my mom had passed away. But even before that, I've never experienced loss, and I lost 3 gay children, and then my mom. So it wasn't fun. I was suffering, and I think what solidified it for me was that my phone used to ring off the hook. Like, I worked for AT&T, and then the moment people found out that I was going through something and my mom passed, that ringing stopped. And it just showed me that, what was I doing this for? Trying to get approval from people that didn't appreciate me or weren't even thinking about me. I was an afterthought. So I think that was the main thing. But then when I did dabble back in it, was because of the relationships I had with certain individuals. There was, my brother Mike at the time. And then there was Judy, God rest her soul. But it wasn't the same. And then I think when you're constantly looking inwards and you're constantly battling your own demons, and then you have other people talking about you, and then also going through mourning loss, it was just too much for me to even think. And then I was getting old. It's hard. I would say, like, I'm 40 plus, and I'm like, what am I gonna do with these kittens? I'm a full grown to so it's and then it's not the same. It's just not the same. And then politics became even more rampant. That and I've just never been that type of person with the politics.
Because I know where you're going with this. Going today is about transparency. Part of it was I started modeling and I left, but I had a very bad substance abuse problem, and I almost overdosed twice, and I went underground. It was probably the most horrible 10 years of my life, but also one of the biggest blessings that I've ever had to get through it. Last week made 2 years that I've been clean from methamphetamines. This is the first time I'm ever talking about it publicly. I've been supported by my family and my friends throughout this situation. I checked into rehab during the pandemic. I had a suicide attempt that just did not work. And at that moment, I just had to really look at myself and make the decision what was going to happen. And I decided I wanted to live. At that time, like Zeric Mugler, like that person was gone. Like that person was gone. Because in reality, like I have like this big personality. I can make jokes. I'm a funny person, but I didn't look at myself in the mirror for almost 5 years. I've never really seen the beauty that other people might see. I was always extremely insecure. I had to like create this character to like walk out into the world and not let everybody see the internal struggles that I was dealing with. And there was, like when you're on methamphetamines, like there's a huge stigma to it. And it's like a lot of people are ashamed to talk about it. And honestly, to tell you the truth, like I can't even believe I just came out with this, but it's very liberating because honestly, to tell you the truth, like this is about being archived and this is about the future. And like, if my story can touch anybody, like, I just want you to know that like, regardless of whatever you might be going through, like you can overcome it. I separated myself, I went underground, but the one thing that helped me to come back was like, there were people looking for me. There were people who loved me. There were people like Zeric, like, I don't care what you're going through. Like, I'm here for you. I'm supporting you. And it just was like, okay, I can do this because I'm not alone and I'm not in it by myself. And there's a lot of people that are suffering from substance abuse, whatever it might be, but like, let the people who love you because that's really what matters the most. I had just come off of a really bad relapse. So I actually was 7 months clean when I walked that ball. The idea wasn't even to even walk, but then it became like, okay, Zeric, come back to Mugler. So I just, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna come back because, it was like I needed to come back to life. I needed to like just kind of take my mind off of like that darkness and come back to life. To put it to you in layman terms, like my face was gone. The methamphetamines had burned my skin off. Like at one point, like my face was black and blue. I sat in that house. I like went through withdrawals. I went through everything. We talk about like augmentations or whatever the case may be. So like, I got fillers. Listen, I'm 40. I deserve it. Okay. But when I turned, well, first of all, when you saw me, I was able to like, okay, this is really about to happen. But like when I turned around and like got the recognition that like happened, it just felt good because nobody in that room, other than maybe certain people, really had even known what I had gone through. And like to just be looked at as like one of the consummate beauties meant so much more to me because it was like it wasn't easy like it used to be where I could just jump up and come in. Like I had to work to come back. And honestly, Caesar, like you already know, I picked you up, but like when we had our embrace and you hugged me and like when you said what you said, it just was like, I felt accepted for the first time. So I appreciate the both of you for even making that moment possible.
I guess final words for me would just be, you know, if you're gonna walk balls and you're gonna do ballroom, have fun with it. Don't take it so serious that you can't even live your own life. You can't be who you want to be because you're trying to live up to this persona of what you think you should be or what you think other people think you should be. And make sure you take care of yourself. I mean, I'm 44 years old, and I just do what's right for me, you know. Everybody goes through something in their life, and when you go through something, it's how you overcome it and, you know, get through it. Because we all go through things. So just go through it and get through it. You know, you gotta just make sure that you can survive you know. Don't let anyone judge you for who you are. I mean, you should know who you are and just keep living.
I think for me, that's two parts is like to be defiant, to be your authentic self, and you're doing it for you, not for anyone else. And the second thing that I usually always tell anyone that I take under my wing is if it's truly that sad for you, you don't need anybody else to make it happen. And I think that, you know, so many people are chasing the clout. They're chasing the people to accept them, chasing the people for a vote, chasing the people to put them in a house. And that's so far from what Ballroom was ever about, you know. And I always tell them, if it's really that old for you, if you're sickening, then you don't need a house. You need a mother. You need a father. Let you and what you present do the talking for you.
Life goes by fast. Have fun. Whether you're up or down, always just put a little glitter on it.
Or a rhinestone.